Almost everyone expected them to be sellers, but in the end, they turned out to be buyers, making just one deal.
Kind of.
Yeah. Reacquiring Jakob Poeltl from the Spurs in a deal that was agreed to late last night that I woke up to this morning. In exchange for Poeltl, the Raptors sent Khem Birch and a top 6 protected 2024 first-round pick to the Spurs, along with 2 future second-round picks. There were literally 1,000 second-round picks traded today.
God,
it was insane. The Raptors drafted Poeltl with the 9th pick in the 2016 draft, and of course eventually traded him to San Antonio. In the Kawhi Leonard trade, Poeltl can become an unrestricted free agent after the season. So obviously not what most Raptors fans were expecting today. Let's talk about it. What are the Raptors doing here?
All right, I don't necessarily know, but I also don't necessarily know if the Raptors know. I'll get to that in a flash. It became evident that the rebuild wasn't going to happen, but this is not a retool.
No, it's the same team.
I mean, Jakob
with an added
Poeltl
center, yeah.
is one significant piece, and I am not diminishing Jakob Poeltl's presence in any way, shape, or form. I like the player. I like the presence. He gives them a rim protector. But you and I had conversations at the start of this year, and we had those conversations with Nick Nurse and Bobby Webster, and we pointed to 3 things that the Raptors needed to be better and wondered where they were going to get. Point guard depth, more shooting, and rim protection.
Yeah.
And through 56 games of the season, their 3 deficiencies are the same bleeping deficiencies.
I don't be mean, but
that we asked about at the start of the year. No?
Yes, 100%.
Right. And I don't think any Raptor fan would argue that.
No.
Jakob Poeltl takes care of one of those. And now you have 2. And Masai Ujiri said, I have to give it to the end of the season to see if the fit is there, to get a proper look at the fit. But they're the same holes, like the overuse of Freddie, the lack of trust in backup point guards. I mean, you're the 3rd worst three-point shooting team in the NBA, and you didn't add any shooting. Jakob Poeltl is a rim protector. So for me, before we get into what Masai is thinking, what the Raptors are thinking, are you like me and most of Twitter right now wondering what the hell happened? This was neither retool nor rebuild.
Yeah, because you're faced with the same issues. You just push them to the summer. That's it. We all came in to today thinking Gary Trent's on an expiring deal, Fred VanVleet's on an expiring deal. They have little to no wiggle room under the luxury tax. All of those issues are even more compounded by the fact that you have Jakob Poeltl now in the mix, who's also going to need another contract. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pay into the luxury tax for a team that might make the play-in? Maybe they get to the 6th seed.
Okay, but you know that when you're saying that and kicking it down the road, that 2 years ago they did this with Kyle Lowry and it worked out pretty well, right? You sign and trade Kyle Lowry, you get Precious Achiuwa out of them. Like, they did pretty well with this kicking it down the road. So there is an opportunity here for them to kick it down the road.
That is an option.
Right. That was one of the options in front of them.
But today was an opportunity, and I think people look at really the deadline and then the summer as sort of the 2 opportunities where you can set yourself up for the future. Today felt like a swing and a miss. Maybe they tried, didn't work out, but the same issues are going to plague them up until the summer.
Well, you kind of sort of let the cat out of the bag when I say, listen, fans get upset when they don't know the plan. They don't know the roadmap. You and I have talked about this. If they don't know the direction of the team, they are too flummoxed. They are rattled. They are shook ones as well. And we talked about this exact same thing with the Vancouver Canucks. Like, what are you doing in the offseason? Now what are you doing? Is it that the pieces suck? No, there's some good pieces there.
Exactly
there's some good pieces with the Toronto Raptors. It's the same thing. However, when Masai Ujiri sat down to speak to the assembled media less than an hour ago, the exact point where he sits down, I think he revealed what you just said and what we talked about before this show started. And that is, they swung and missed, and he admits when he sits down that they swung and missed. Have a look, and you judge for yourself.
Yeah, it didn't happen. No. Why it didn't happen? The opportunity was not there for us for a blockbuster trade.
Okay, let me re-rack that for you and play it for you one more time because I have to set the scene. And I think the sitting down part and the expression on his face when he sat down before he delivered that line also told a bit of a story. But here it is once again. I think that Masai's just admitting here that they swung and missed.
Yeah, it didn't happen. No. Why it didn't happen? The opportunity was not there for us for a blockbuster trade.
So there it is. I mean, for me, if you were confused by that press conference, if you were worried about what happened to the Toronto Raptors, Masai gave you a window into what they were attempting to do. I don't know if that's Fred VanVleet. I don't know if that's OG Anunoby. I don't know if that's Pascal Siakam. Hell, I don't even know if it's Scotty Barnes. And I think that's why when we go to the engagement, which we want to go to a ton in this show, we're going to get a lot of pissed off Raptor fans. Or, sorry, we're going to get a few pissed off Raptor fans.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, and I have a theory about this actually, and I want to get your opinion on it. I think Masai Ujiri over the last number of years, and especially with the Kawhi Leonard deal, has now a pretty long history of winning trades. And I think that GMs might be getting a little bit nervous that when they engage in negotiations with Masai and Bobby, they might start to balk at some of the asks that Masai and Bobby have for guys in return. And as a result, they're a little gun shy.
Does that
and
explain
we're
the
not seeing the
Clippers?
moves. In what sense?
How did the Clippers trade all of their point guards and not get Fred VanVleet or Kyle Lowry?
Well, they're probably going to get, you said it in
Russell
in the
Westbrook?
intro. Yeah.
That's not, Russell Westbrook is not even, as much as Paul George could lobby to bring Russell Westbrook to, say that 5 times fast.
Impossible.
To LA and play for the Clippers, which would be magical that he shares the same building with the Lakers and may face them in a play-in game or beyond. That's absolutely juicy. But it makes sense, by the way, I love this. It makes sense that they would get Fred VanVleet, does it not?
Yeah, but I think we may have a different opinion of Russ than the Clippers would if the Clippers players, but the players want to bring Russ in.
There's no chance.
You don't
They
think
would
so?
rather have Fred VanVleet than Russell. I predict, and maybe I'll talk to Kenny Smith about this a little later on, that Russ might not be in the league in 2 years.
I don't disagree with that.
He has not been able to evolve into any sort of a role player beyond the dude that had people boxing out so he could get triple doubles in OKC.
I agree.
So Fred VanVleet is a perfect fit with the Clippers. We heard through the grapevine that it was Terrence Mann and pick, maybe a first-round pick, right? Maybe for Fred VanVleet. If that was the ask, you make the deal. The Clippers obviously weren't paying that. That's why they don't have a point guard. And the only time that Kawhi worked was when he had 2 point guards. One of them was Kyle Lowry. The other one was Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kawhi at his best had 2 point guards.
No, that the Clippers were sort of the obvious place for Fred VanVleet to go. And I don't know, as a first-round pick and Terrence Mann doesn't seem like that steep of a price, but maybe that's part of my point is like maybe there's a trepidation now where you're having a harder time valuing certain guys and certain picks on your own team because you feel when you negotiate with Masai and Bobby that there's something there that they know that they know that you don't know, and as a result, they're gun shy when it comes to making deals with the Raptors.
Yeah, either gun shy or an overvaluation of your own pieces is what had to happen for Masai to sit down and say what he said off of the top of that press conference. Let's hear from the rest of the press conference and some more clips from Masai Ujiri.
The way I look at the deadline, it's really not a great place to make long-term decisions. I believe in these guys. We believe in them, and we think growth sometimes takes a while. I think there's a level of impatience now with how we think about things and do things, and Hopefully we can have a little bit of patience, but everything that we could have done today, maybe we can do in the summer.
So the reaction to the deadline, to that news conference, did we ask for the friends of the show to weigh in on some of what happened at the deadline for the Toronto Raptors?
Did we ever? First, before we get to the fans of the show and viewers of the show, I want to get to just some that I
call them
pulled.
friends of the show.
Friends of the show, that's right. Yeah. Obviously. I want to get to some of the reactions from around the rest of the internet that I pulled that I thought was pretty entertaining. DG says, Raptors at the trade deadline. And this is, a little pump fake. Yeah. Maybe OG is going. Maybe Fred's going. Who knows?
It's so unfair to the teams, but it's so true because for the last 3 weeks, all we heard is Raptor rumors.
Here's Nate. This whole trade deadline starts with the Raptors, and the Raptors froze. My guy hasn't moved for 40 minutes. That's one of the better ones. Ted, Masai to Raptors fans at the trade deadline, presenting with a nice piece of absolutely nothing.
Wow, they got to put a picture of Jakob Poeltl in there.
Now
at
they
least.
do.
Yeah.
Ringers, the Toronto Raptors talking about making trades, and the Toronto Raptors actually making trades. I just find it so interesting to me that the Raptors.
The Raptors didn't talk about anything in the public.
No, but we
it was
heard,
just reported.
like we heard from Woj and we heard from Mark Stein as saying the Raptors were one of maybe two teams that the entire trade deadline hinged on. And then you look at all the teams and all of the flurry of moves from today, and the Raptors don't make anything, and they're sort of rolling with, you add Jakob Poeltl to the mix. Like, do they think that they can actually? Do they think they can actually do something now? Like that would be my next question. Is like maybe
running back what?
It's a pretty soft schedule here. Like maybe all along they thought they were a little bit better than we thought.
No. The start of that news conference suggests otherwise. To me, and maybe I'm wrong, the start of that news conference suggests the complete otherwise.
They wanted to change.
They wanted
tried,
to change, and nothing was there.
Okay. Sanich writes in, I'm going to trust the management didn't like any of the deals they were presented with and decided to stand pat. Makes for an interesting offseason, though, no doubt about that. Don Carlo, trust in Masai took a hit here. Masai just sounds like someone reluctant to deal players he's developed. Admirable, but I simply don't see how this works out. Brad, I think they will contend for 11th every year quite well.
Oh, that's it.
Ricardo, mid, as the kids would say.
Yep.
And Justin says, horrible roster management. So, there's a lot of people out there that are preaching patience and still believe in what Masai and Bobby are capable of and are not going to let this one deadline sour their opinion of them. But there is frustration because it was hyped up, not like the Raptors hyped it up, but it was hyped up and nothing happened without Jakob Poeltl. That's it.
Do you want to just write Jakob Poeltl on a sheet of paper?
Yeah.
And then just hold it up and say, like, nothing happened?
I feel bad. I do feel bad.
No, because he's a significant piece, but I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean.
I'll ask Michael Grange when he joins us, because we're going to move on in a flash, that did Jakob Poeltl signify to him that the Raptors were going to make other moves that never came to fruition? I believe that to be the case. I think you believe that to be the case. I think a lot of people out there believe that to be the case. But I will say this. There's a lot of people right now that have written in with the horrible roster management. I got a tweet earlier today that said, fire Masai, and I can count at least 5 times off the top of my dome piece when the Raptors fan base was pissed off at management. One of them turned into Scotty Barnes. One of them turned into Kawhi Leonard and a championship. Like, do I need to go on after that? Like, those 2 times alone, right? The fan base was irate at Masai Ujiri and this management, and it came up absolutely golden for the squad. The bloom is coming off the rose. I guess 4 years is what a championship buys you.
It's not a lot.
It's not. It's not
at least a decade.
But I want to get a lot more of your feedback into this show, so we may move on